Hey guys, just gonna make this section of the video here to go over the build a little. So the whole build revolves around this sword called the Golden Charlatan, and the only line that matters on it is the gain a random shrine buff when you kill a rare or unique enemy. Unless you're playing attacks, this is the only line that matters. You could go attacks with this build archetype, it's just like I guess it would change the archetype though, and your critical strikes with this weapon deal no extra damage, so be careful with that. I'm playing Spark, has the most coverage, um, and why this sword is so good is because we basically guarantee, if you're in a juiced enough map, you basically guarantee that you have all the shrine buffs in the entire game. I have the T17 section of the video, you can see just me blasting through that instantly with all the shrine buffs. And especially with Legion, you can guarantee Divine Shrine, for example, which is pretty badly weighted. But we're killing so many rares in Eternal Conflict that you just guarantee like have a Divine Shrine, so you're not dying to these crazy Soul Eater monsters or anything. As long as you don't lose the buff by like looting for too long, for example. Anyway, so what makes the sword so good is this blunderbore and the gull increased effect. You're going to be able to get to 2.5 times the effect, and you really want the blunderbore to be 75% because it hits a lot of breakpoints, which I can go over here in a second. And the gull is 75%. So those are added up to 2.5x. I'll just pull up the notepad here and you can see that we're getting massive shrine, lots of life, lots of AoE. The AoE is crazy for our explosions. I have a lot of explode on the build, or yes, and we have cluster jewels that explode. You could go for Fallborn Witchbane, but that's Fizz, so um, we have Profane Bloom from Occultist, and we have 100% increased, or sorry, 100% chance to explode, dealing quarter of their maximum life as cast damage from Gloom Shrine. You can basically just guarantee you have Gloom Shrine up at all times as well. Um, Not to mention the 25% as extra you're getting from the Gloom Shrine, which is just straight up 25% more damage multiplier for us. Um, Go over some of the other notable ones. The Resonating Shrine is crazy because this is like the crazy one where you really want the breakpoint is we get the more damage per frenzy charge, increased damage per frenzy power or endurance charge, so you can sum them all up. Frenzy charge stacking is really strong because of Resonating Shrine. Increased cast speed per frenzy charge, so what I have 10 frenzy charges, so I'm getting 100% increased cast speed, which overlaps with the Echoing Shrine here, which is 250% more. And skills repeat an additional time as well for Echoing Shrine, so that's just another double damage. And see where this is going. Like, there's so many multipliers that we're getting from these shrines. Another one that's notable is the Acceleration Shrine, which gives us 200% increased proj speed and 125% action speed. But the proj speed is really nice for Spark or any projectile skill. Like we would be using Kinetic Blast if we could, let's be real, but we're using the shitty sword, so is what it is. Um, Something else like our Resistance Shrine, 25% max res, and we're gonna be 90 all res at all times. Basically we're invulnerable anyway, but um, let's see here. What else? We get a lot of increased damage generically from Brutal Shrine, which is really nice for the explosions. But yeah. Very strong shrines. That's why I can break over. You can break over a billion DPS fairly like easily, I would say, honestly. And the EHP is insane if you get the ball rolling. That's the tricky part, is getting the ball rolling. You don't really want to play this build if you can't make your gear worth, like your character worth over a million DPS on POB. We played this build with like 650k DPS to start with, and it was kind of awful. Like it was good, don't get me wrong, but like you do want to hit that million breakpoint and you'll be cruising at the start of the map easily. I'm at around over 2 million just because of this ring I have. It's a mirrored ring. My friend made it. You can mirror it too if you want. But it just basically gives a bunch of frenzy charge shit and increased cast speed for Spark. Really gets the ball rolling here. We get frenzy charge generation, by the way, from the elegant hubris here. So you're getting the frenzy charge on hit. Something else we do is convert all of our damage to chaos damage. You could go the elemental route and just take like a Hands of the High Templar or like any unique gloves really with +1 frenzy charge and elemental weakness. If you're going the chaos route, you're gonna get despair. The reason why we want a curse on hit is because we want to get the profane bloom from occultist. If you're not gonna play occultist, you probably want forbiddens for that. But honestly, at the end of the day, you have more than enough explode. You don't need profane bloom. If they're expensive, just whatever. If you're just getting started with the build, you can leave that out and it'll work perfectly fine. It's just like a fun note to have. That's basically why we're having it. It is definitely overkill, but yeah. Withering Presence, 15% more chaos damage. We're really getting a lot of damage from chaos conversion here because of this node and other nodes such as Heart of Darkness, Corruption. We're applying 15 stacks of Wither through our cluster jewels from what is it? Unholy Might here. And there's also an ascendency node here that gives nearby enemies have withered and stuff. It's nice. Um, the last point I would recommend for your ascendancy, if you're even if you're going elementalist, you might want to consider Sinner Saint and just having some sort of chaos damage scaling because of Oriat's end explosions can benefit from it and stuff. But like especially for this archetype, like you're gonna want to convert all your damage to chaos at this point because of the increased chaos damage we're doing. Um, and like by doing that, like we're focusing so much on chaos damage because we have so much chaos explode. Like it's basically all the explosions we have is chaos damage. And by doing that, Oriat's end is also converting to chaos damage too. So we're scaling the explosion of that as well as the lightning damage it's doing. So it's yeah, it's crazy synergy. Medium clusters are just going to be Pierce and Proj speed, the normal spark stuff. You don't even need this. Like I know this thing is expensive. Unnatural instinct. Um, don't need that. Basically, we just have it there to save a few points, like for the +1 frenzy charge. We're frenzy charge stacking, right? So, um, that's basically it for the skill tree. I guess I'll go over like quickly the alternatives to the ring. Like all you need is like some cast speed and I like that's it. Like maybe life and some resistances on your ring, and you're good to go because there's not really a lot of options. Like maybe the crit multi is good too post buff, but you care a lot about pre buff damage and not post buff damage. Post buff damage is only good if you're like doing a meme because like you're basically just one shotting everything anyway when you have the shrines. You're just getting the funny damage number up at that point. For this version of the build, we're using the Venarius Astroglobe, which does a couple things for us. One is the elemental conflux, so we benefit from the shock that we benefit from shock, which is really important for any build. Since we're doing all chaos damage, the shocking is like would be impossible, right? But since we have elemental conflicts, all of our damage can shock, and we have a lot of increased effect of shock as well. So we have like basically we can just say 35% increased damage or increased effect of shock or in POB, and that'll be like perfectly fine. And not only that is like you don't have to crit to shock either. So like we're not critting pre-buff, so there's that. Lots of damage from this amulet just because of that. The plus threes are like the cherry on top. If it just said you give elemental complex, it would be still a good amulet. But the plus threes are the cherry on top. Stuff that does for us is level 25 Spark of the Nova. That hits a breakpoint for an additional projectile. Not to mention like the flat that it gives. Level 10 Awaken added lightning damage. Again, lots of flat damage. But we're gaining a breakpoint for that, which is another +1 to supported lightning skill gems, which is helping us get there. Like level 25 Spark in the Nova is really good to hit. And that's about it. Everything else is like, I guess hypothermia has increased, but hypothermia is nice too because we have chance to freeze enemies, which are chill. But yeah, um, one last thing I want to talk about is why we're Eldritch Battery. The only reason why we're Eldritch Battery is because we had a lot of points invested into mana, and that could be damage. So if you want to go the mana route, would recommend. It's cheaper and it's like you get way more defenses, by the way. Like at the beginning of the map pre-buff, like you're gonna be cruising. You're not gonna get one shot like me sometimes. Um but you do want to invest points into mana, which is a pain in the ass. You're going to need a Watcher's Eye with mana minus mana costs from Clarity. Your ring is going to want, instead of this increased damage ring here, you can get the -7 to mana cost of skill of non-channeling skills, and then you're just gonna have like two of those. You can Calandra's Touch it or whatever. And yeah, like you're just gonna reduce your mana cost. Get inspiration. I still have inspiration on this build. Really good gem. You're gonna reduce your mana cost like as much as possible, and then you're gonna pick up mana regen nodes. You're gonna have mana regen on your clusters. You're gonna tattoo mana regen all everywhere you can to try to get that number as high as possible. And I did end up making it like more regen than I can spend, so it's definitely possible, and it's not that unrealistic either. Like it's not even that bad. Um, but yeah, drop all that shit, go Eldritch Battery, and you're gonna get like some sort of spell leech. I have it on my Vixen's Entrapment. You can use any gloves you want, by the way, but Vixen's Entrapment gives you some spell leech, which is nice. And you can apply an additional curse, so you save some points going to Whispers of Doom. If you don't want to get an additional curse somewhere, such as your Maralene's or Vixens or something, then you're gonna have to spend 4 points getting to Whispers of Doom, unless you want to drop Sniper's Mark. But yeah, okay. I think I'm yapping too hard again, so I'm gonna I'm gonna call it there. Like, yeah, the buff build or the shrine build is absolutely cracked. Funnest build I've ever played in PoE. My friends are playing it too. They say it's like the funnest shit ever. Um, would recommend. New fun build. Log in, dude. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you, I'll probably be answering the comments. If you have any questions or whatever, I can help you out. But yeah, that's basically it. Like, you know what Maralene's does. It's like it's just a bunch of crit multi. It's good for post buff, but pre buff is just, yeah. Um yeah, that's it. You don't need Wine of the Prophet. You don't need Headhunter. If you can't afford it, don't bother. You all you need is the sword. All you need is the chess piece. All you need is the goal. Okay, and then you're fucking. You get some pre buff damage. You're gaming. Like it's so good. Trust me. Um, but yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.